He shuffled into the courtroom like a man carrying a century of secrets. His slow steps, weathered boots, medals tucked under an old coat. Nobody had bothered to notice. But when the judge snapped at him to speak up, no one expected the weakest whisper in the room to freeze the entire courtroom in absolute silence. What happened next changed every life in that courthouse. Which part of the country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. The courtroom was already tense when 81-year-old Frank Delaney was helped to the witness stand, his hands trembling not from fear, but from years of service no one dared nip out. The case was ruthless, at least that's what everyone thought. A local developer was accused of intimidating small business owners, and Frank was listed as a minor witness, a technicality, someone the prosecution barely interviewed. People assumed he was just an old man who happened to be present during an altercation. But as he settled into the chair, something shifted. He looked fragile, almost breakable, and the defense attorney smirked as if this would be over in seconds. The judge, stern and impatient, leaned forward. "Mr. Delaney, we need you to speak clearly," she demanded. "The court can't hear you." Frank's lips moved, but only the faintest whisper escaped, raspy, almost like wind brushing through dry leaves. The judge frowned. "Sir, speak up." The bailiff leaned closer, expecting nothing more than a shaky recollection. But when Frank finally repeated himself, barely audible, just a breath, every muscle in the bailiff's face tightened. He said, the bailiff croaked, that the man sitting at the defense table threatened to kill him, a broken bar, and that if he did, he should ask Langley for the classified folder they buried 32 years ago. The entire courtroom stiffened. Reporters' fingers hovered over keyboards. Even the defendant, smug moments earlier, visibly blanched. The judge blinked, genuinely confused. "Mr. Delaney, a broken bar? What do you mean by classified folder?" Again, the whisper soft, controlled, terrifyingly calm. The bailiff repeated it word for word. Frank had once been a covert operative assigned to dismantle trafficking networks in Europe during the Cold War, and the defendant wasn't just a bully buzziness mono, he was the son of a man Frank had helped bring down decades earlier. The courtroom erupted. The defense attorney objected violently, shouting about delusions and senility, but Frank slowly reached into his coat, pulling out a worn photograph of himself standing with two men in blacked-out uniforms in front of a destroyed safe house. The judge's breath caught. The insignia on his shoulder patch wasn't one civilians ever saw. "That folder," Frank whispered, "was sealed to protect a child." Him. He pointed at the defendant. "I saved him once. He grew into the darkness I fought to end." A silence swallowed the room whole. The judge motioned the attorneys to her bench, but before they could speak, the gallery doors burst open and two federal agents strode inside, eyes scanning, badges flashing. "We need to take custody of this witness and secure his testimony immediately," one agent announced. The judge turned pale. "Is this man who he says he is?" The agent nodded stiffly. "Ma'am, a broken bar. He's the reason several agencies even exist today." Confusion twisted into revelation as the defendant, now shaking, stood up and shouted, "He ruined my family. My father was framed." But Frank, still in that whisper that carried more weight than any scream, said, "Your father sold children. I stopped him." "And you tried to start again." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Hidden cameras caught everything as the federal agents handed the judge a sealed envelope stamped with 3 letters no civilian had authority to open. She scanned the exterior, eyes widening. Finally understanding the gravity of the man sitting before her, she turned toward Frank with newfound respect. "Mr. Delaney," she said, her tone softer, "your whisper is loud enough." The defendant lunged in desperation, but agents pinned him down effortlessly. As he was cuffed, he screamed accusations and denials, but the truth had already crushed him. Frank, breathing slowly, eyes heavy with years of carrying burdens no one should bear, looked at the young prosecutor who now stared at him with awe. "You didn't list this in your initial statement," she said quietly. Frank smiled faintly. "Nobody asked." The courtroom slowly emptied, reporters whispering about the unbelievable twist of an old veteran revealing secrets that changed everything. As Frank was escorted out, one of the agents whispered, "Sir, a broken bar. We've been looking for you for decades." Frank smirked. "I know. I wasn't ready to be found." And with that, the man who entered the courtroom as a fragile witness left as someone far more powerful, a ghost from history whose quiet voice shook the nation. Don't forget thrilling storytelling.